and sometimes not understanding, and some of the scholars are scared by, you know, for example, on the moratorium, before launching this call for moratorium, I took 7 years talking to scholars on an individual basis, like this, discussing with them. And I can tell you that almost all the scholars, they were agreeing with me, but they were not ready to say it to the people because they were scared of what the people are going to think about this. Half of the Muslim organizations in Britain stopped to invite me to talk, was banned from countries for having said that. And still what I was saying is in fact something that is very consistent with what I think is the Islamic message and how we have to deal with this. But critical thinking and thoughts is very different because we are driven by emotions and repeating what we heard and not studying. Many of you might have heard Tariq Ramadan is going too far, and I'm having people saying, oh, he's going too far, and say, what have you read? They don't read books, and even I have a website, tariqramadan.com, I'm putting even the moratorium is there. It's not long, it's 8 pages. They don't read, but they judge. I don't know exactly what you are thinking, but what you are thinking is wrong. Thank you. But you don't know. You haven't read. And even sometimes if you read, you don't have the level to judge because it's not your field. So be humble in the way you are dealing with things, because it's about knowledge, it's about, you know, taking time, 20 years, you study, and you come with some proposals. I might be wrong, but I don't want me to judge in a way which it's putting you in hell before even God has judged. Because you have some people, they are the court before the great court. They know. And they want to know and they want to decide. So this is an introduction to the questions that you have. What is my model when it comes to media independence? I don't have one model, but what I think it's important is to protect, and we have to deal and to work for this, is to protect the independence of media. And we have two problems in the economic world today. Is even if you have independent media, sometimes as to the ideology, we don't have independent media as to the financial source. So now you have people who are buying, you know, media, and you know, it's just, when you look at some of the main media, you can see from behind the scene that it's very ideological. That some, for example, we have one who is getting and dealing with the more important weapon industry, for example, in Europe, in France. He has the main media in France. So he's playing on two fields. So sometimes the media covering wars and struggle is not bad for the other side of his business. He's making money with weapons and covering troubles. More troubles, more weapons, more money. Get the logic of it. So this is where, at least at your level, as citizens, you have to ask. I heard that there is an opposition movement here asking more transparency and equal rights to reach and to be presented in the media. This is the basic in a transparent democratic society. Now there are things, and you also have to think about, you know, even people very often, they come to me and they say, yes, now facing CNN we have Al Jazeera, which in global terms is true. Jazeera played a very important role. But now, don't think Al Jazeera is void from any ideological and political concerns. Of course not. The way all the uprisings were covered, and not covered at times, is really dealing with something which has to do with ideological concerns and political vision. What was happening in Saudi Arabia, what was happening in Bahrain was not covered the same as in Egypt. Because in fact, Al Jazeera is not completely independent. It's not. Now we are very happy because it's the other side. We are very, very quick to be emotionally driven. Oh, the Americans are doing this, we are doing something else, and we are so good. And it might be that the Americans are happy that you feel that you are doing something which is the opposite, because they are using the opposite just to set the scene of what they want. So once something very interesting happened, is Colin Powell. Remember him? He was talking about Al-Qaeda. And he said, we know it's Al-Qaeda who did this. We know and we are going to react to this. And he was asked, how do you know? He said, there is a tape that was sent to Al Jazeera. Okay, so the journalist went to Al Jazeera. Did you get the tape? I said, which tape? And the tape arrived 2 hours later. So Colin Powell knew before Al Jazeera that the tape was coming. And they were saying after this, we are going to bomb the headquarters of Al Jazeera. So, okay, there is something strange in the whole process. Be careful, the powerful can deal and play with something which is apparently the opposition. And they can give some power to the opposition to set the scene of their hegemony. So this is where we have to have the global vision, not to be naive with alternative. And there is a third thing that we have to do. When you cannot reach and we cannot get the media power within, we really have to deal with alternative media. And we are using this, you are using this. But it's very important. Internet, global, alternative media, radio on internet, social networks. It's very important to deal with all this because it gives you, for example, when I was asking, the day before yesterday I was in KL and we had a lecture and they had more than 2,500 people coming, and I asked them, how did you manage to do this? They say it was only Facebook. But Facebook could be bad, not really halal, and it could be very halal, very good, depending on the intention, what you are doing. So it's to mobilize the people, say, this is a gathering, we are resisting, this is what we are doing, use this. This is good, Twitter and all this. Is to waste your time with silly things, no. But constructive opposition, constructing exchange of ideas and mobilization, this is the way we need to deal, and it gives us some independence. And the state cannot always control this. It can sometimes, but not always. You have to try to find your way. How should Dr. Morsi deal with military? Good question. Because if you read all the articles, I wrote a book on the Arab awakening, Islam in the New Middle East, and at the end I have appendices where are all my texts that I publish every week. By the way, if you go on my website, you have all these texts. I'm trying to follow what is happening. And when I was talking about what was happening in Egypt, I think today, if we are serious about what is happening in Egypt, it's much more a military coup than anything else. So I don't know how Dr. Morsi is going to deal with it, but the strategies from behind the scene seem to be three things, three options, or three ways. There is one which is to put Morsi and to let the elections be achieved, and at the same time, what happened 2 days before the results is to remove all power from his symbolic authority and to put him in the situation for a while and to come to new elections when the parliament is going to be re-elected. This is one option, and it was set by the military, the Supreme Council of Armed Forces.